USA.
Yo 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 yo.
Jess Hilarious.
What's up?
Trying your mouth so early. Charlamagne the God.
Peace to the planet. It's Tuesday. Good morning. How y'all feel out there? I feel blessed, black, and highly favored. Happy to be here. Another day to serve our beautiful listeners.
Good morning. What's up, Jess? You eating already?
Young Big Back.
But I'm
Young Big Back.
It's a granola bar though.
Okay.
It's not really no fat-ish, so chill.
All right.
It can get fatish depending on how many of those you eat in one sitting.
Dang, why are you all the way in my business? Like,
I don't know,
bar?
baby Big Back.
Whatever.
Well, today on the show, we have Vivek Ramaswamy joining us this morning.
Yeah, you know, Vivek, he was formerly of the Department of Government Efficiency
Right.
with Elon Musk in the Trump administration, and he left or got pushed out.
It's only been like 8 days, 7 days.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. You know, Trump rolled back these DEI initiatives, and all of a sudden the brown guy was gone. But we'll find out why this morning.
Jesus.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we're going to be kicking it with Vivek. All right. Now, how was your day yesterday? Y'all did anything? Anything special? Anything at all?
Yo, I was just I got my truck washed. I was so happy that it's been warmer, just a little bit
So you
warmer.
can get the, yeah.
But it's still cold. This is why it's like
It's still cold, but it's not 17 degrees. Yo.
Listen, if you're 400 pounds and you lose 100, you're still fat. Okay, all right, right? Yeah,
That's true.
Like I get what you're saying. The temperature dropped a little bit, but god dang.
Can you tell your friend over there, every time he goes, shh, we have to dump
I know, like
That's
he
big
didn't
dumbass.
just
every
curse.
morning he does it.
Yeah.
And they dump it every morning. So
That's-
they don't hear what he says because they have to dump it.
Yeah, and then they just told me that I was using NIGGA too much, and I ain't even hear like that.
That is true.
Like, dang.
That she's not using the N-word?
That she not here like that. But listen, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you know I'm saying shh, why are you dumping it?
Because you ain't go shh.
You know I'm not. I've been
You go
I've
there,
been
you-
doing radio 26 years. You know I'm not saying
Yes.
sugar honey iced tea. Like just think about how that don't.
Yeah.
But
you know I'm not
if
saying
they
it.
dump it every morning, you do it every morning.
No, stop dumping it.
Stop doing
I'm not
it.
saying it.
Okay.
You know I'm not saying it. So why you dumping it? It's a waste of a dump.
White ears hear differently.
White. He's Puerto Rican.
Oh yeah. My bad, Red. My bad.
It's probably because he's influenced by Eddie, who's our executive producer and Eagles fan. Stop listening to Eddie. Okay, how about that? Because I'm not saying that sugar honey iced tea word. You know
Oh,
that.
my goodness. Let's get the show cracking. We got front page news when we come back. Trump is deporting more people at an alarming rate. This is crazy.
Well, we don't know if it's alarming yet because we don't know if these are criminals or not. If they're illegal and they're committing crimes, yes. If they're not, then it's alarming.
All right. Well, we'll get to that next. So don't go anywhere. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Good morning, Morgan.
Hey, good morning, DJ MV, Charlamagne the God, and Jess Hilarious. Y'all all right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, let's get into it. Okay, so listen, President Trump, he's joining House Republicans in Miami this week for the GOP January retreat. The event started yesterday afternoon at the Trump National Doral Golf Club and runs through tomorrow, Wednesday. President Trump joined House Speaker Mike Johnson for a dinner and reception on Monday evening around 7 p.m., where the president addressed the House Republicans' annual policy retreat on various topics like his first week in office, recognizing only the male and female genders, his rollback of diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives, and the weaponization of government. Let's hear more from President Trump.
Past 7 days, my administration has been moving with urgency and historic speed to reverse every single disaster of the Biden administration. By the way, the guy was a disaster, okay? You know, we want to be nice. All of the lawless diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense policies across the government and all across the private sector and the military. I also signed an order to end the weaponization of our government against the American people and investigate all abuses of power.
Yeah, so he also spoke about the Paris Accord and, retreating from that. He touted his team's work, saying since taking office, including he has raised a lot of money for the next election that he assumes he can't use for himself. He credited his success during the 2024 election to TikTok, saying he became a little more jaded towards the app, but we'll now see what happens. He also mocked the idea of course, of multiple genders, as you heard in the audio. Earlier in the audio, he will say something like people like having 7 genders, and he made sure that there were only 2 genders to recognize, male and female, and jokingly saying, "Oh wow, that was a tough one," and saying, of course they've got some weird stuff going on. So Trump is just not in favor of any of that. And he also turned his attention to immigration, where he said the country is moving forward very fast in regards to what's happening with immigration reform. And I'm sure you guys have talked about it. We've talked about it all week with those ICE roundups.
Just
Any thoughts?
quick question, just to be clear. So I know 6 months ago, if you didn't use the proper terms to identify a gender, you could be called to human resources and you could be fired, right?
Yeah.
So now those terms are out the window.
Well, we still think that you identify as a woman, so it's okay.
I'm not talking
I'm
about
gonna call you a bitch. It's okay.
Because
worry
he
about
issued an executive order, what happens
my
is
God.
He's an ass, right? I just asked a real question. He goes,
Yeah.
no,
Go ahead, Morgan. I'm listening to you.
Jesus.
because he issued an executive order, it does not make it absolute law, but it does changes things. It does change the scope of things. So if you are working in federal government, then that is true. I mean, you're probably going to have to heed to those rules sooner than someone who's in the private sector.
Gotcha.
What does that mean? If a trans woman says something to me, I say, I got to respond, sir, or what? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, well, if you're in the private sector, you should probably still say ma'am. But if you're in the federal sector, then it's going to be probably case by case, and they will probably deal with that.
So you just misidentified me. You called me a woman and I'm a man. So you misidentified
No, I
me.
called you a bitch. It's different. It's a total difference.
Continue, Morgan.
All right, yes. So later today, House Speaker Mike Johnson and committee chairs will continue conducting breakout sessions as Republicans look to package the Trump administration's top priorities in one single bill that covers immigration, energy, and all the things. Trump just wants one single bill. But yesterday, Speaker Johnson addressed House GOP members ahead of President Trump, saying he feels like the U.S. is entering a new era of government. He also expects the U.S. to handle deportation flight negotiations how they did over the weekend with Colombia. I'll get into that more, but let's hear from Speaker Johnson.
When the president says he wants to make the government more efficient and effective, and we say we want to limit the size and scope of government, it means that everything is on the table for reevaluation. President Trump you've seen, he will have a heavy hand, and we will support him on that regardless of who stands up against it.
So in case you missed it, Colombia is sending 2 government planes to pick up migrants who were set to take military flights originally. Now, there were some planes rejected in Colombia and Mexico with migrants on it. And Trump, he was reeling his head. He was like, oh, nah. So basically, this comes after the Colombia government and President Trump have agreed to terms to after threatening tariffs. In a statement, the White House said that the country agreed to terms that include the unrestricted acceptance of all illegal aliens from Colombia returned from the United States. The statement also said that drafted actions on tariffs and sanctions would be held in reserve and not signed unless Colombia fails to honor this agreement. Now, Trump threatened retaliatory measures after Colombia first denied entry to those pair of U.S. military deportation flights. So
Trump started a trade. He started a trade war on day 6.
He
Sure did.
And won though.
He did win. They backed down.
He moving those migrants out and making sure that when they land, they can land. So that's a whole thing. So, but yeah.
The interesting thing about this, just remember everything Trump is doing, America gave him the power to do.
That's right.
He was voted in as president, and he has full control of government, all 3 branches of government. So everything he's doing, he pretty much has the constitutional right to do.
Yes. And if not, then, it's a matter of precedent and figuring it out through the courts and all of these things. And by the time you probably get to an answer, well, his presidency may be over. So, you know how the courts move.
I don't know. Yesterday at that House Republicans annual policy retreat, he was talking about a 3rd term.
Yeah, I heard him say something about that.
And that's something we was talking about in 2016. If he got back in 2020, he probably wouldn't leave.
He ain't trying to leave.
It seems like he's saying it jokingly, but
he didn't try to leave in 2020. It's not like he just walked out.
Nah, yeah, you're right.
He
He was
there was
damn
a
near
thing called
forced
an
out.
insurrection on January
That's what they
6th.
call it.
That's
So
right.
I'm just saying that 4 years from now, don't just jump out the window and say he's going to just walk out.
No,
I don't know.
Right, we should take his jokes for real face value.
Yeah.
All right. So that's your front page news for 6 a.m. At 7 a.m. We'll continue to talk about the legislative session, immigration raids across the country, and more.
All right. And shout and salute to everybody out in L.A. We're still praying for you. I know you recently had the mudslides, but I heard this morning on the news that they're actually allowing people to go to their house today. Today is the first day that during during the daylight hours, they can actually go to whatever is left of their house. So they can go and see if their house is still up, if they have anything, artifacts or anything like that. So
Horrible.
Again, we're always praying for our family out on the West Coast, all right? Get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, phone lines are wide open. Again, 800-585-1051. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club. This is your time to get it off your chest, whether you're mad or blessed.
I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress. Everything with me is blessed.
Call up now. 800-585-1051.
Not just me. I'm what the coach are feeling.
Hello, who's this?
Pepsi Joe, good morning, DJ Envy, Breakfast Club.
What's up, Pepsi Joe? Good morning. Get it off your chest.
I need to get off my chest, man. Just trying to rent an apartment in New York City seems like a whole game. I've put all my stuff in storage. They want a credit check. I've been provided everything, and it still seems like I'm jumping through hoops. And I'm so tired of sleeping on couches, man.
Yeah, New York City is when my daughter went to NYU, it was so difficult to find her a place that was pretty affordable because it's so expensive. I would just advise, bro, why don't you go to the outer boroughs? Jersey, just, take the PATH train or Queens or Brooklyn.
I'm looking into, like, Westchester just because I'm trying to avoid all these tolls, these New York MTA tolls. Avoid all that. I'm trying to go Mount Vernon, Yonkers. You know anybody or anything? Can you recommend any reputable realtor, that can help me?
I better not. You better stand down.
Nah, I don't know anybody in those areas, but I would just say just keep looking, brother. But I know it's expensive. But they're saying the price is gonna start going down, but it's super duper expensive. They say it's low inventory, but they're gonna start forcing those prices down.
Working Joe.
Yeah.
I work every day. It's just a regular job. I just drive trucks regularly. Like, this is just a thing for me to jump through this many hoops. Yeah. And I've been waiting for going on 2 months now. It's like, oh, come on, in New York, we got to do better than this.
Nah, I don't know how to help you, Joe. I'm sorry.
I appreciate it. Thanks for hearing me out, though. Happy Tuesday.
Well, actually, you called us, but
yeah, he called us, but
thank you, bro.
Answering him, man. Hello, who's this?
Yo, this Big Mike from Chicago. How y'all doing, man?
Morning,
Big Mike from Chi-Town. What up? Get it off your chest.
Hey, what's happening? Hey, DJ Envy, I wanted to say, man, please tell Charlamagne to stop messing with you, bro.
You know what? You know when you were in middle school and that girl hits you because they like you? That's what it is. Charlamagne just really likes me, and he's really upset that I'm married and I'm not gay.
You telling another grown man this?
I'm telling no, because it's the truth. Because Charlamagne is gay, and he flirts with me every morning.
Trump ain't signed no executive order about this.
No.
Dang. And you could have said anything else. Like,
it's the truth.
We just joke on each other, blah, blah, blah. He likes me.
No, he likes me.
He's trying to manifest.
He likes me.
You want to be B. Simone so bad.
He likes me.
This guy's trying to manifest things.
Hey, yo.
You got what you wanted, Big Mike?
Man, y'all funny as hell,
now
bro.
he funny.
Yeah, that's all I wanted, man. But, hey, Charlamagne.
Yes, sir.
Hey, stop that sissy stuff, man. For real. Stop.
This man just said he liked me.
You like me.
And you want me to stop the sissy stuff.
Get it off your chest.
What kind of sense is that? This man just literally told the world he likes me. He likes me. He wants to be with me. But I got to stop the sissy stuff.
I didn't say you want to be with me, or did I? Yes, I did. You do. 800-585-1051. Get it off your chest. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club.
I'm dialing.
Hey, what you doing, man?
I'm dialing. I'm calling you.
This is your time to get it off your chest, whether you're mad or blessed. 800-585-1051. We want to hear from you on The Breakfast Club.
Hello, who's this?
Hello, who's this? It's the DJ Envy. It's Frosty.
Good morning, Frosty.
What's up, my guy? How are you?
I'm all right. Just had 4 McMuffins and 3 hash browns.
God damn.
Wow.
You're a baby big bag, too.
It don't sound big.
It don't, huh, Jess?
What's up?
Oh my goodness.
This guy be in front of the radio station every day.
That's right.
And he came. I did a book signing with Anita Kovacs last week for her new book, The Wind on Her Tongue, and he pulled up.
All right. What up, Frosty? You good?
Yeah. Prediction. Who do you think is gonna win, the Eagles or the Chiefs?
I don't know, man. I want to see the Chiefs get the 3-peat, but I want to see Saquon Barkley get a ring. So it's both sides.
I don't have no money on it, but I'm going with the Eagles. So that means the Chiefs probably going to win.
I don't know.
Who you got?
Yeah, I got the Chiefs.
Okay.
Frosty, what's that move you do when you see us in the morning? Like what's that thing you do put to your mouth?
Envy.
What? That speciality that Charlamagne likes.
Oh, okay, all right. The hand motion that Charlamagne likes.
The dude does the basket weave to us every time he sees us walking in. Envy can't forget that move, clearly.
Goodbye, Frosty.
You put something up to your mouth.
All right, goodbye.
Envy is gay on the brain. Boosie is not going to listen this morning. Boosie is going to turn the radio this morning.
Hello.
Crazy.
Hello, who's this?
All right, this is Donald Trump, calling you guys. We're talking about the celebrities leaving America, okay?
Yes.
Many are leaving. Rosie O'Donnell's leaving. She says she's leaving because I was elected. And let me tell you, we're going to put Rosie on the biggest boat the world has ever seen, the Titanic, and ship her off to China, okay?
Okay. All right.
Lots of people, Mike Cranston's leaving. A lot of people are leaving, but quite frankly, it's going to be a great 2025. Great 2025. With all these celebrities gone, quite frankly.
It's pretty good.
You said Kirk Franklin. What you say?
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
I was like, damn, Kirk Franklin.
Not Kirk Franklin.
I thought Kirk Franklin had faith in God. He can't just up and leave.
You pretty good. Are you a comedian?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a comedian. I do comedy here.
Okay. How can people catch your comedy, brother?
Instagram at crazyazcomedian. Crazy with K.
Can you just say I'm Donald Trump and the only station I listen to is the Breakfast Club? Go.
I'm Donald Trump and the only station I listen to is the Breakfast Club.
Thank you.
Have a good morning, man.
All right, big black.
You gonna get
Stay
the
black.
pony.
What did he say? Be black.
I guess he said stay black.
Oh.
Why you looking at me like that?
I'm just listening. I wonder what people think when they hear that. You know what I'm saying? Donald Trump called to the Breakfast Club and said that's the only station you listen to. Well, I'm not listening no more, damn it. Okay? All right?
And I know that wasn't Godfrey, yo.
Get it?
Godfrey be doing that. The
He be doing it
comedian. He can sound like anybody, but he definitely can sound like Donald Trump.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
Well, get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. We got Jess With The Mess coming up. What we talking about?
Yo, the Diddy documentary dropped. Y'all watched it?
No.
Nope. Which one? It's a bunch of them.
I know.
There's already 5 of them. How many? What was this one? What's new on this one?
We'll talk about it next. Don't go anywhere. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Yep, it's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club. Charlamagne the God, DJ Envy around here somewhere. There go Jess Hilarious. And it's time for Jess With The Mess.
News is real, whether it's Jess Hilarious, Jessica Robin Moore, just don't do no lies. She don't spare nobody.
Worldwide Jess, worldwide mess.
On The Breakfast Club.
She's a culture shift.
She was able to get y'all to see something and understand something that nobody could get you to see.
It's time to set it off.
Okay, so I know nobody here watched the interview but Lauren, so maybe you can fill us in on the downfall of Diddy. Premiered it last night.
Yeah, so first of all, I text y'all too. Nobody watched it?
No.
Nope.
Alrighty.
There's already 7 of them.
All right.
So many of them.
Okay, well, we are here now.
Okay.
So Downfall of Diddy premiered on ID channel last night. It's a multi-part series that is like a docuseries. First 2 episodes dropped. So they get into a ton of stuff. So the first episode kind of sets up like what created this like monster that they are trying to allege that Puff is. Mm-hmm. So they open it with a makeup artist that used to work for Diddy and Cassie, and she details the first time she alleges she saw Puff put his hands on Cassie. Let's take a listen.
Puff and Cassie were dating. There was a party, and she was staying at the Beverly Hills Hotel. I fall asleep on the couch because I don't go out, and he storms in. Where the is she? I wake up all of a sudden like who? And then they go into the room, shuts the door. All I hear is get the out of here, get the out of here. He's on a rage. He's being Puff. I'm packing her stuff up. Once he leaves, I see the aftermath on Cassie. She has knots on her head, bruised eye, busted lip. It was horrific. And so all I can think of was, we need to get back to my house. You need to get the out of here. We can't call the police. We can't go to the hospital. We're scared of Puff.
Yeah, and those were her account. So that makeup artist she's speaking in the doc, but there were other accounts in different filings. And when that Cassie video came out, remember there was like the former security guard who came out and said he allegedly saw like Puff and Cassie. Dawn Richards also recollected some things when she came out with her filing as well too. So they reiterated that a lot in the doc, but they also talked a lot about Puff's upbringing and his mom and how he was raised, trying to, I guess, make the point of this is how he ended up where he is now. Let's take a listen to Diddy's childhood friend.
At an early age, it was instilled in him that he can't be seen as weak, and the only way to respond to weakness, or this idea that you're being perceived as weak, is to respond with force.
My mother was, I guess, raising me for the real world. She's always told me if somebody hit me, make sure I hit them back harder. Make sure they never hit me again. You make sure I them up.
Moms made sure, listen, don't come here talking about you got beat up. Don't come here talking about somebody took something from you. I don't want to hear none of that. Go get it back. You can't come in my house until it's right. So he had to make a choice. He had to man up. So I'm going to make more than you. I'm going to do more than you. I'm going to be more successful than you so I can call the shots.
I know Puff mom like, boy, I wasn't talking about no damn women.
I think most parents tell their sons that. Like, if somebody punches you, you hit them back. They not talking about the women.
Yeah,
all the way wrong.
They talked a lot in the doc too about like in this part about how his mom, you know, like I don't know how y'all parents raise y'all, but like don't come back home. Don't come back home if you ain't win that fight. Like that type of vibe.
Not don't come back home because it's my house, but yeah, you gonna fight him.
Don't
you
run
keep
from a
fighting.
fight. Yeah, don't
like,
run
my
from a
father
fight.
had me like, nah, you gonna go back until you beat her.
Yeah, don't run from a fight. But if you lose, you lose. You get back up. But yeah, you don't run from a fight.
Yeah.
You don't fight women.
No, but you don't fight
She wasn't talking about women.
Exactly. So what
she
I'm
wasn't
saying,
talking about women.
I said that to say that
dangling people off of the balconies though, the guys.
I'm saying that to say that they're trying to paint him as this like violent like person who doesn't understand when to stop. And I think that the reason why they brought this up, even though they don't say his mom told him to do that with women, is because they're beginning to paint this picture that they go into a lot in part 2 about how because of who he grew to be, like the big icon, the big, you know what I mean? He just never knew when to stop. He got in these, allegedly, he would get in these rages and that's when things would happen.
Power.
A lot of power. So another thing they talked about too was, and this was after he had become like Puff, his star is growing, he has some money now. Him and Misa Hilton had some issues that people recollect in his doc too. Let's take a listen.
One night, Puffy decided that he didn't want Mr. Hilton to go out. He got into this rage and she screamed and her parents came out. He just grabbed the baby and he said, you're not getting this baby, you're not having it. The father tried to talk to him and he doesn't like being talked to. The grandmother tried to talk to him and everything. Eventually they had to call the police. Mr. Hilton, they have felt that something was really happening, that she had no control over. This is her life. He was using the baby to control her. That, I think, scared her a lot. He was just angry and upset. He made threats. You know, he was arrested. She was one of the few people who got to understand that type of rage, who he was. There was a monster that came out of him that nobody knew about.
And I think that, too, for a lot of people, when I saw people...
And who was that?
I forget the guy's name, but it was like a person that was around them for some years. Like this guy, he's when you watch the doc, he's a guy with dreads. I'll go back and get his name for you, but he's in both parts of the docs, and he was around from the time when Diddy was coming up to first deal with Uptown Records to everything. So he's in the doc a lot. But a big part of the conversation I saw when this part was happening was that Misa Hilton, you know, during all the time when the conversations first started around Puff, she was online and she was recollecting a lot of, you know, her times with him and raising kids with him. And, you know, she had asked the question at one point in time when she posted this stuff, like, were you not entertained? And I think a lot of people were saying that, you know, whether this happened or not, the conversation has always been the women that he's had kids with, what have they had to deal with and how do they deal with that? And people were basically saying like they feel bad for her because she had to deal with so much so early because they were so young. But
I don't know what's true and what's not true.
Yeah.
But I know Diddy isn't getting any benefit of the doubt when it comes to putting hands on women because of the video we saw in the hotel.
Yeah, but I also wonder, these people are telling these other people's stories. I wonder how they feel, right? I wonder if Misa wanted to tell her own story, if she wanted this out, however she wanted, or even Cassie, if Cassie wanted her stories out. It's always hard to hear other people tell other people's story.
Not if that person was a witness. If that person was a witness, that's their story too.
If it's true, yeah.
I think too, because I know when Misa was posting stuff online,
and could it be a thing of she ain't want to be in the documentary, but she, gave the okay, all right, yo, you can talk about this situation that you was there for, or whatever.
Or maybe they want to hear it because they want to be traumatized and relive it, though.
The guy's name is Peter Noel. He's an investigative journalist. That's who was talking about Misa. But he's used a lot in the doc along with other journalists, because these are journalists that were around and reporting on these things.
Gotcha.
And there was a 911 call that they talked about with Misa when she actually had to call the police in that situation. So he details all of that. But I was going to say, to your point, Jess, when Misa was posting all that stuff on Instagram, it was seeming to me as if she wanted to tell her own side of things the way she wanted it to be told. Right. But she's never been a part of any of these docs, and I don't think that we'll ever see her do that.
I know one thing. All these documentaries are going to absolutely impact Diddy's trial. Okay,
yeah,
I refuse to believe that a juror won't be swayed by what they hear in the court of public opinion with all of these stories. There's 19 documentaries out already.
Like you said, they're going to see one of them. You're going to see a snippet of it. You're going to see a little bit of it online.
Or you're going to see 50 Cent Instagram. Something. You're going to see something.
Yeah, something.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you, Lauren.
There's 2 parts, and I think there's a few more coming. So.
And this is not the 50 Cent documentary, correct?
No. This is this is the ID. There's a lot of
TMZ
documentaries.
did one, ID channel.
You know this is not 50 documentary because ain't no male victims in it, right?
I have not heard from a male victim.
It's gonna be a lot of butt touching in the 50s documentary. I'm telling you right now. When 50 do his Diddy documentary, it's gonna be a lot of male victims. I'm letting you know that right now.
No, stupid.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you.
I heard he was gonna name it. I heard Puffy touched your butt, but that's too long a title.
What?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I heard Puffy touched your butt.
That's what 50 was gonna name it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You ain't heard that.
I did. Well, I got sources too, Lauren.
I know you got the butt sources. We know.
Anything with butt, he can post it right
That's
up.
right. I do butt dials. That's how I get that kind of information.
Oh my god.
All right. Thank you for Jess with the Mess. Now, when we come back, we got front page news. So don't go anywhere. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake up. You're locked into the Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, NV, Charlamagne, and Jess.
Peace,
Morgan.
Girl.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. Immigration raids, as you guys have mentioned, we've all been talking about it. They are taking place all around the country. The Trump administration has launched a social media thread showcasing what it calls, quote, the worst criminals arrested by immigration and customs enforcement since the president's inauguration. The White House and X thread reads that President Trump's leadership, ICE agents are working tirelessly to protect our communities. ICE reported more than 950 people were arrested nationwide just yesterday alone. The agency also said it has started what is called targeted operations in Chicago. So Chicago, look out. Florida lawmakers are still meeting in committees today after calling their own special session to deal with immigration policies aligned with President Trump. Senate President Ben Albritton says he doesn't support Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' proposal to create criminal penalties against law enforcement. Let's hear from Florida Senate President Al Britton.
President Trump clearly has a situation under control and is leading from the Oval Office. I want to be careful that we don't do anything to undermine President Trump's very good plan. I won't stand for that. I want criminal, illegal immigrants to be deported efficiently and effectively. And the best way to do that is to follow the leadership of President Trump.
So Florida House Speaker Daniel Perez entered the chat, and he called for the governor's proclamation too narrow, and saying many of his policies or proposals are bureaucratic. Now, he's calling on a second special session to deal with the proposed immigration policy. Let's hear from Florida House Speaker Daniel Perez.
We do not need to duplicate the functions of U.S. Immigration and Customs and create a mini-me version of ICE. We have chosen to designate the Commissioner of Agriculture to serve as the state's Chief Immigration Officer, who will create more badges, detain more bad guys, and provide more beds.
So as mentioned in that audio, both the House and Senate have agreed that the Agriculture Commissioner, who is Wilton Simpson in Florida, will be the state's Chief Immigration Officer. I find that to be a little morbid, a little weird, but Agriculture Commissioner, Chief Immigration Officer. Yeah, so that's happening in Florida. Meanwhile, elsewhere in politics, President Trump signed 3 executive orders yesterday to aim to reshape the nation's military. That's according to multiple reports. One of those orders will reportedly include reinstating service members with back pay for those who were discharged for refusing to take the COVID-19 vaccine. Another will ban transgender service members from serving in the U.S. Armed Forces, while third will ban any diversity-related programs in the military. No DEI in the military anymore. So Trump first banned transgender Americans from serving in armed forces back in 2017 during his first administration, and will undo former President Biden's repeal that was issued in 2021 to combat that 2017. Elsewhere, Senator Lindsey Graham, he's talking about the January 6ers and Trump's pardon of them. He says he doesn't approve of President Trump's decision to pardon those who participated in the January 6th riot. The South Carolina Republican told CNN State of the Union over the weekend he's a firm backer of the president, but he doesn't think it's acceptable to pardon criminals who assaulted police officers. Let's hear more from Lindsey Graham.
I don't like this. I don't like it on either side, and I think the public doesn't like it either. I've always said that I think when you pardon people who attack police officers, you're sending the wrong signal to the public at large. If this continues, if this is the norm, there may be an effort to rein in the pardon power of the president as an institution.
Reign in the pardon power of the president. He went on to criticize former President Biden for pardoning his son, Hunter, and commuting the sentence of Leonard Peltier, who was convicted of killing 2 FBI agents in 1975. So, yeah, these are things we'll continue to watch and see as our nation shapes up.
I wonder how you do that, though. I wonder how you reel in the pardon powers of the president, because, you know, like I was saying earlier, like, you know, Donald Trump literally is doing everything that he has the power to do. Like, these things aren't illegal. He's the president of the United States
but do you
of
limit
America.
the amount of people he can pardon? Because I've never seen, like, usually you hear when a president leaves, he pardons a couple of people. Usually you hear about it, but I've never heard anything like this. Like, it just seems like they just pardon anybody for anything.
I don't even know if it's about the limit. I just think it's about, I think things should be on a case-by-case basis. Who? Yeah, exactly. Like, who?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Well, okay, bringing things home to you guys in New York. New York City Mayor Eric Adams, he won't appear in federal court tomorrow. Adams is scheduled to have a federal court appearance, and it's been waived as the mayor reportedly undergoes several doctor's appointments. A spokesman for the mayor says Adams hasn't been feeling well in recent days and is undergoing numerous medical tests and doctor's appointments this week. He has canceled nearly all of his public appearances, including his weekly scheduled news conference with reporters. Now, that has public advocate Jumaine Williams concerned because under law, he'd take over for Adams if Adams could not perform his duties, but he hasn't heard anything from the mayor's staff. Let's hear quickly from public advocate Jumaine Williams.
I would say just in terms of providing confidence for New York City, that might be better to have that communication.
So he says, right now, I want to make sure we're portraying as much confidence as possible in city government. I would say if it was me, I think the communication would be a little better just to make sure we're pushing that confidence. But again, they can handle this, a supervisor to handle how best they can and make sure that they are portraying that we are all wishing for the mayor to be well as soon as possible. So this is interesting because this brings about the question of transparency in government. City Hall isn't explaining what's going on with Mayor Adams, other than the fact that he's just not feeling his best. Do you think that public officials, depending on what capacity they are in, do you think they should be transparent in terms of their health issues?
Especially if it prevents them from doing their job.
Yeah, I absolutely positively think so. Yeah, especially if they're missing events and missing appearances. Yeah, absolutely.
So the mayor's team is reassuring the public that Adams is in constant communication with his staff to ensure city business continues. But that also concerns me because the dude the backup has already come out to say, I ain't heard from him. So just to give you guys a heads up in New York, that's something that we will continue to watch. And of course, we're wishing Mayor Adams well wishes as well. We don't want to see him sick or, down and out. So, but that's your front page news. I'm Morgan Wood. Follow me on social at Morgan Media. And for more news coverage, follow at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit us at BINnews.com. Thank y'all.
Peace, Morgan.
Later, Morgan. All right, when we come back, we have Vivek Ramaswamy. He'll be joining us this morning.
Yeah, Vivek was a part of DOGE. DOGE was a new government agency.
Department of Government Efficiency.
That's right. It was a new government agency formed by Donald Trump for the Trump administration. It was him and Elon Musk. But Vivek either left or got pushed out.
And we're going to talk to him next.
We're going to find out which one.
So don't go anywhere. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club.
everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Lauren LaRosa filling in for Jess, and we got a special guest in the building.
Yes, indeed.
Vivek Ramaswamy. Welcome.
How you doing, man?
How you feeling?
All good. You're doing well.
This is your first interview in what you said, like a month?
Yeah, I've been.
Okay.
I haven't been. A lot going on, but I haven't been out on media. But
Gotcha.
people are gonna be hearing more from me. Starting now. Why not? You called me over
Absolutely.
the weekend. I told you I happened to be in the city, so this worked out well.
Well, tell us, Vivek, what happened with Doge?
Yeah.
Congratulations on the job.
Thank you, man.
Well,
I
you don't have
appreciate
it anymore.
Yeah. It's not my job right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm
I'm
running
sorry.
for.
I take that back then.
I'm
So
moving
what
on to my
happened?
next.
Did you get pushed
next
out?
frontier.
Did you get fired? Like, what?
No,
did you leave?
it was a slightly different vision from where we started to where we landed. And it's not that it's, one's right or wrong, but if you take a look at where we began, right, Doge is going to be an outside body to the government. One of my core areas of focus throughout has been the constitutional and legal basis for shutting down the bureaucracy and the federal government and downsizing it. That's what I focused, written my books on, etc. It evolved in more of a direction of a technology project, using a technology-first approach. And so Elon and I were on good terms. We have good personal relationship, slightly different approaches to the project. And what he and I both concluded, and I think this is right, is given my focus on law, on legislation, the right way to realize my vision is through elected office. And so that's what I'm going to be pursuing. We have an announcement probably coming up in the next month, but that's my next path.
The governor of Ohio, we heard about that.
That's coming up soon. But that was where we all landed. Was the right way to do this for me was if I'm focused on constitutional law, deregulation, legislation to downsize government. That's been my vision for a long time. Let me realize it on my own 2 feet through elected office. At the same time, I'm happy to have helped over the last couple of months to be able to get this off the ground, and a technology first approach from within the government now. It's not outside the government. It made all the sense in the world to make this the time that we went separate ways.
So it was true. There was an exclusive report in the Washington Post that said you were pushed out because your vision didn't align with Elon. So
I would say that we arrived at it pretty mutually. I mean, I think when it came that Doge was in the government, so there's actually a law. It's called the Hatch Act. It's boring stuff, but you literally can't run for office while you are an employee of the government unless you're the president or vice president. I've been committed to this path of likely running for governor of Ohio for a long time. My plan initially might have been to do those at the same time. Once it became clear that was impossible to do at the same time, once it became clear to me that that was the right next leadership destination for me, felt like the start of the project on day one was the right way to start that next chapter. That's the way we did it.
Now, you did say the last couple of months you've been focused on getting Trump in office.
Yeah.
So now that he's in office and we've seen the last couple of days, what are your thoughts, and do you still stand by it, everything that he's done?
I really think he's off to a pretty good start. I mean, you think about most presidents, they take a little bit of time to get warmed up. He didn't go through the warm-up phase.
No.
He got started right away. And I think there's a reason for that, which is very few presidents have actually been the president before, and then they come all the way back. Then Grover Cleveland was the only other one who did it. So he, in some ways, is coming in for a second term. But I actually do think those 4 years of being able to reflect on what actually mattered to him were actually pretty good. So I like a lot of what we've seen in that first week. Unleash energy production. That's going to bring down energy prices. It's going to stimulate the economy. A lot of the regulatory and red tape rollback. I think it's just a good thing for the country. If you travel the country and you ask most Americans, do you think there's too much red tape or do you think there's too little red tape? I don't think there's anybody who would tell you that. I think there's too little red tape. I think there's a lot of people, especially business owners, small business owners, that tell you there's too much red tape. Trump has gone pretty aggressive, even in the first week, in saying we're rolling back a lot of those regulations. We're rolling back the regulations that hold back energy production in the United States, getting very serious about the border. And, I think that you can have your debates about what the legal immigration policy in the U.S. should look like, but I think most people are united that we don't want an open southern border. And yet, functionally, that's what it's been for much of the last 4 years. So I think it's been a lot of pretty good moves out the gate.
how is eliminating government diversity programs like DEI beneficial to anybody other than straight white males?
Oh, I think there are some ways in which it's not even beneficial to straight white males, which I'll tell you about in a second. But I think this culture of reviving merit in the country is a very American idea. You and I have talked about this in some of our discussions here in the past. I think is America's a country where you are not judged on the color of your skin. You ought to be judged on the content of your character and your contributions. The best person ought to get the job, regardless of their genetics. That's America at its best. We haven't always been that. You could argue that we've never actually been that perfectly. We're an imperfect nation because we're comprised of human beings and not gods. But I do think it is a step forward to say that after we've turned the page on 160 years ago, and then 60 years ago with the Civil Rights Revolution, after we've made all the progress we have, now's a time not to engage in blaming for the past or whatever. We haven't been perfect, but to move forward to say we're a country where we want the best person to get the job without regard to their skin color or their sexuality or their race. And the only thing I would tell you that you might be interested in for the angle you mentioned is, I also think there has been a culture emerging in the last few years, a culture of excuses amongst people who say, oh, I didn't get that job because of DEI. And in certain cases, that may be true. That certain people, maybe a white male, was denied a job because somebody else got the job because of racial or gender preferences. But there's also a lot of instances in which that provides somebody else a new excuse. And I just want a no excuses culture across the board, where one of the side effects of ending DEI is that nobody's going to have excuses anymore for why they didn't get that job either.
That's not true.
So I just think merit across the board is the way to go.
But do you trust people, though? Like, do you trust people enough to say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be prejudiced against this person because of their identity.
I mean, we all have it.
Sexuality.
Let me say something. We all have our innate biases, right? We're human beings. As I said, we're human beings. We're not gods. We're flawed. And people have their innate biases. But the question is there a perfect system? No, there's not. But what's the least imperfect system? And I think the least imperfect system is one where we aspire to at least think of our country through the lens of merit.
So you don't think DEI was a way to get there? You don't think that?
I think it has proven not to be the way to get there. I've obviously been an opponent of it for 4 or 5 years, so I'm obviously going to have biased views on this from where I sit. But
what is it exactly? The policy? Because you need diversity to get there. You need equity to get there. You need inclusion to get there.
Yes. So I think part of what happened is when you started using the capital D, capital E, capital I, here's what happened is, I think in the name of diversity of thought, right, because that's where you want diversity of thought in an organization, the capital D diversity actually ended up saying that certain viewpoints aren't welcome, that we actually sacrifice true diversity of thought. In the name of equity, which is measured in terms of outcomes, I think we actually sacrificed true equality of opportunity. And then at a certain place, and this is really where it took a dark turn to me, is in the name of inclusion, we created a culture of exclusion where certain viewpoints were not welcome in an organization. And what that does is it causes the bottled up emotion to fester. Okay, that doesn't lead to good places. When you tell somebody, shut up, sit down, do as you're told, keep your views to yourself, that actually fosters resentment. And the weirdest thing I think has happened in the last few years, and I do actually blame a lot of the DEI and related policies for this, is that we have seen a reactionary wave of racism in the country, anti-minority racism, that would not have existed but for that DEI culture of not only taking something away from somebody based on their skin color, but even worse, in the name of inclusion, saying that you can't express your view.
But why would you have a conversation about equal opportunity if they don't even want to have a conversation about diversity, equity, and inclusion? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I understand where you're trying to go with it, but you can't have one without the other, I think is the point. And how do you do that? It seems like that's your disconnect even with Doge, right?
No, I think a couple different topics there. Look, are we a country where we want equal opportunity for every person to achieve the maximum of their God-given potential? Yes, we do. Are we perfect in realizing that? No, we're not. Do we think that group quota systems are the right way to achieve that? I'm of the view the answer is no. And I think the last few years show us that it hasn't even been effective in actually empowering the people it was supposed to empower, while it's created resentment of a lot of the people who felt deprived. So I think we just got to.
I don't disagree with that last one.
We just got to go to we got to go to post DI world. That ship, in my opinion, for the better, maybe in other people's opinion for the worse, that ship has sailed. Now let's look to the future and say, what does equal opportunity actually look like?
All right, we got more with Vivek Ramaswamy when we come back. Don't move. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Lauren LaRosa is here with us as well. We're still kicking it with Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, I got a question. What were your thoughts on, and you claim to be an honest person, when Donald Trump signed off on the people that tried to overthrow the government?
Signed off?
Pardon them.
So look, here's my view is...
And then I want to ask you, what did you think when Joe Biden pardoned, his son and his family members as well? So let's start with Trump.
So here's my view is...
Because they tried to overthrow the government, which is totally against the law.
So I think that there were many people... This is a rabbit hole. We could have an hour on this, and I don't really think it's even all that relevant anymore. There were a lot of people who didn't do a thing that was wrong that ended up being ensnared in getting locked up, getting prosecuted for peacefully, without any weapons, exercising their First Amendment rights. And as a country, we're a country that celebrates political dissent and opposition. People who never entered the Capitol, people who never hurt anybody, people who were unarmed, walking on the Capitol grounds. And it was just sloppy the way the whole thing was
peaceful
actually
protesters.
handled. Yeah. And I think that those kind of peaceful protesters, the fact that they were ensnared and had their due process rights denied is an affront. And I say that as somebody who, I'm a civil libertarian. I believe the same is true for left-wing protesters. I think the same thing has been true for civil rights protesters 60 years ago. I think the same thing was true for peaceful protesters on January 6th.
Now the other side.
So then when you look at it holistically, right? It was so messy in the way that it was handled. There were so many also unanswered questions. And some stuff that didn't smell great. Like if you look at the first thing that came out from the Inspector General's report, only came out a couple weeks before Trump took office. How many FBI informants and affiliated people were in that audience? It didn't smell good. And that came out. If you said that 2 years ago, that was considered a bad conspiracy theory. But now they came out with the Inspector General report saying that they weren't transparent with the public. There was enough that the government did that smelled rotten there, that in the interest of just turning the page, you know what I think would have been the best outcome for the country? I said this before Biden left office. I think if Joe Biden had not pardoned his family member, but had pardoned the January 6th protesters in one of his final acts, to say that I've been critical of this, but in the interest of moving the country forward as I'm leaving the office, I'm turning the page and looking to the future. And then Donald Trump takes office and pardons the Biden family for any alleged offenses. That would have been, I think, the best case scenario for the country.
Yeah, but all the January 6 people weren't protesters.
we had the
some of them were insurrectionists. And I mean, there's actual people who are denying pardons because they said, no, we committed a crime.
Yes, there was a woman who did a whole sit-down interview, said we did really horrible things. People died.
I heard her interview.
And so to that, you will say, but there were people who were peaceful. I watched it.
The decision peaceful, but then we seen people that hopped the gates, ran up in there, running in people's office. We seen them as well.
I think J.D. Vance had the best reasoning when J.D. Vance said, and this was before Trump did the pardons, he said that we're going to look at we're not going to pardon all the January 6th insurrectionists. We're going to look at it on a case-by-case basis.
He's a case-by-case, yeah.
And see who needs to be pardoned and who doesn't.
And that's what I had said for the last couple of years as well. I do think that when we're also moving quickly with respect to Trump talking about a new golden age for the country, that's what we all want. Right? We want a country where the issues we're focused on is what affects people in their everyday lives. The conversation about lifting people up economically and educationally. I think it is in that spirit to say that we're just turning the page and moving the nation forward. I understand the decision to do it not on a case-by-case basis, but on a blanket basis. I understand where it's coming from.
Actual criminals. Like one of the guys got out and went right back to jail.
By definition, just so we're talking about the same thing, by definition, anybody who gets a pardon is getting a pardon, many of them. Anybody who gets a pardon after a conviction means they were convicted.
That's right.
So there are hundreds of presidential pardons. Biden issued more pardons than any president has in his final month leaving office. Every president issues pardons. But part of the reason the president has a pardon power is the job of the president is actually to look after the country. The job of a jury and a judge in a case is to look after that individual case. But a president is a steward of a country, and to say what's in the best overall interest of the country, that's why the president has a pardon power. So everybody who a president has ever pardoned is by definition a criminal. The question is, even in the face of somebody being a criminal by definition of having committed some crime, take a big step back and say, notwithstanding that, is it in the interest of a nation to be able to pardon that person and move forward? That's the judgment that belongs on a president's shoulders.
Well, let's talk about some forward stuff. Like, how do you advocate for ending birthright citizenship when both your parents were illegal and non-citizens?
Were legal.
They were legal.
They were legal.
Okay,
yeah.
But they were non-citizens, though.
That's right. That's right. When they came to the country, yeah. So my view, and I've been pretty consistent on this, is that birthright citizenship should not be granted to the kids of illegals in this country. What does birthright citizenship mean, just to get everybody on the same page? It means if you're physically born in the country, you're automatically a citizen. And that's been part of the longstanding tradition of the country within certain guardrails. So I'll give you one that nobody contests. Let's say you're the kid of a Mexican diplomat. All right, so it's a guy who's legally, physically in the country, but he is the ambassador from Mexico or Panama or whatever country to the U.S. They happen to have a baby while they're here. Is that baby a citizen of the United States? Nobody thinks the answer to that is yes. If you're a diplomat from Mexico or a government official from another country, but physically the baby happens to be born here, you're still a citizen of that other country. And goes to the 14th Amendment. It says, are you subject to the laws and jurisdiction thereof? Then you're a citizen. That's what it says. So by similar analogy, if somebody who's an ambassador from Mexico or is in this country legally, but doesn't enjoy birthright citizenship because they're still subject to the laws and jurisdiction of the other country, then the question is, if somebody entered this country illegal, or let's just say, take another one. If somebody's a foreign invader to the country, right? Let's say you have a foreign invasion of the country, but includes a pregnant woman and she happens to have a baby here. Nobody thinks that baby enjoys birthright citizenship. So then the question is, if somebody broke the law when entering the country, right? That their act of entering the country was a violation of our laws, are they really subject to the jurisdiction and law in the same way if they have their kid in the country, that kid does not automatically enjoy birthright citizenship. That's been my position. I think it's a reasonable position.
But why is it that moving forward you would want an administration to pick and choose like when they give opportunities? Like, so for instance, like what if I'm here legally, I have my kid
here legally?
No, I'm here
illegally. Okay.
Yeah, hypothetically, if I'm here illegally, right? I did whatever I had to do to get here just because of whatever my circumstances are. I'm not committing crimes while I'm here. I'm working the best I can, just trying to raise my kid. My kid is doing amazing. I'm providing a better life. And then all of a sudden now, because Trump is in office, it's like, no, my kid has to go back to whatever circumstances we came from, not too much set up because they're no longer a citizen. Right?
So one of the things, I mean, if you look at President Trump's recent commentary and some of his interviews, even leading up to taking office, he himself has drawn a distinction between people who have been here for a really long time and established roots versus people who have come super recently to the country, right? In the Dreamers program, you talked about how people have been here for a long time. We could have our own debates about what my own views even are on that. But let's just start with the easy low-hanging fruit. If somebody commits a crime while they're here and they entered illegally, should they be automatically deported?
Before you go there, I just want to...
And then we just go straight down the list.
Yeah, we're not going to argue that point because that's kind of like
that's a lot of people.
That's an easy point, though. I think where I'm getting confused with you is like you
and even if it's a few years, I would say the same thing. So if somebody's come here and it hasn't been that long, so we're talking about double-digit millions of people who have come here illegally under Biden's tenure. Those people have not established roots in the United States.
Right.
Those people should have followed a different route. And by the way, there are millions more who did not come here illegally because they were trying to do it the right way. They're the ones we kept out, and the ones who lied or broke the rules are the ones who we let in. That's not right.
Right.
So I think that sending all of the people who at least entered illegally under Biden's tenure, just recently, even if you just take even the last 2 years, that is millions of people. So even if we just said over the last 18 months, the people who entered this country illegally have to go back to their country of origin, they haven't established roots in 18 months. That alone would be the largest mass deportation in American history. Now, you want to go beyond that, we could argue the details, but that alone is literally the largest mass deportation in American history. And I think most people are in favor of it, to say that that's fair.
So why are House Republicans divided on this? Because it seems weird that you would want to fight the end birthright citizenship now, especially when you've made so many strides with Hispanic voters.
So I'm not following necessarily what the House Republicans are divided on per se, but what I will tell you is I think most people, if explained, right? Because I think the problem with this is it can become a pretty emotional conversation. If you just objectively look at the low-hanging fruit that we all agree with, that's actually pretty far from where we are today. If you look at somebody who entered this country illegally, does their kid automatically get birthright citizenship going forward? We can't even change the past, right? Because those were the rules of the past. But at least going forward, we will say that anybody new who enters the country illegally and has a kid here, that kid does not automatically enjoy birthright citizenship, I think is a very reasonable position.
All right, we got more with Vivek Ramaswamy. When we come back, don't move. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Lauren LaRosa is here with us as well. We're still kicking it with Vivek Ramaswamy. Charlamagne?
What did Trump say when you told him you wanted to leave, Doge?
It was a pretty good mutual discussion. He was very supportive. And, I think Donald Trump and I, we built a good relationship since I left the race. I think for me, I've always been somebody who I need to stand for my own vision for the country. I'm at my best when I'm standing for my vision for the future, and I'm excited for that. And Donald Trump was super supportive of that. We had a good time at the inauguration together, and I think we're going to be working together informally for a long time to come.
One of the executive orders that happened, was Doge was rebranded as the U.S. Digital Service, which was an Obama-era group, which is basically created to manage the Affordable Care Act's website. But now it determines best practices for the government's use of technology. That wasn't your initial vision.
So look, there were a couple different visions and approach, and I will say that Elon, in taking a technology-first approach, he's the best person to take that technology-first approach, no doubt about it. What I've always been drawn to in my books and a lot of the articles I've written in my own campaign for president, a lot of my focus has been on using the constitutional landscape and using the legislative landscape to bring down spending, to curb regulations. I think the best way to do that is from the perch of elected office. And I think that when you think about who's going to drive change through technology in the government, nobody better than Elon to do that.
How is the Trump administration going to reduce food prices when they're deporting the people who are picking the food?
Because he said first day out, and we ain't seen no prices drop yet.
Well, come on, it's been a couple weeks, right? It's been not even a couple weeks. It's been a week.
People who are actually picking the food.
Well, I mean, deporting the people. Well, maybe we should have a system. I think you would agree with me on this. Maybe we should have a system where the people who are picking our food or people who are in our food supply chain were not people who entered the country illegally, but actually fostered both American-born and a proper legal immigration system to staff that in a way that isn't illegal. That's a separate question.
But if
of
you
the
say
rule
you
of
want to
law.
deport 20 million people and there's only 14 million people living in the country illegally, who else are you getting rid of?
Let's just talk about bringing down food prices for a second, because I think it's an important point. I would also add to the list, by the way, housing prices. I would add to the list energy prices, especially electricity costs. I would add insurance costs.
Housing's going to be tough. You got tariffs on everything.
Well, here's the number one way to do it. Increase the supply of everything. Right? So law is a supply and demand. If you have constricted supply, you have higher prices. If you have more supply, prices come down. And one of the easiest things that we're able to do in all of those areas, housing, food, energy, you bring down the regulatory barrier to producing more of it. That is automatically going to bring prices down. That's at least the first and easiest step we can take. Some of this is at the federal level, but keep in mind, not all of this is stuff that Donald Trump can do. A lot of this is actually at the state level too. I mean, you think about most of the regulations that stop people from producing food, most of the regulations that stop people from building new houses, including manufactured homes, which I think is actually an innovative area for the future. You think about even a lot of the restrictions on energy production, nuclear energy included. A lot of that is at the state level, which is part of why, in my own reflection, right, thinking about having an impact on the country, if you're doing this public service thing, I tell you, there's a lot about it that isn't super pleasant at all times. So if you're going to do it, you might as well have the biggest possible impact you can have. And the way I look at it is Donald Trump, he's got it covered at the federal level. I'm rooting for success and I expect success, but it's not going to be a one-man show. At the end of the day, you got 50 states that have to tackle these very same problems. And especially when it's questions of affordability, questions relating to education. Education is all driven by the states. I think the states is where it's at in terms of actually the need to drive real change. And so I've set my sights accordingly, and I will try to, and I'm going to hopefully stay true to not just talking about this stuff, but to actually translate it to action. And I do think that this is a lot of the issues we're talking about. Bringing down housing costs, that is not a partisan issue. There are a lot of Republicans who are pissed off about high housing costs. There are a lot of Democrats who are pissed off about high housing costs. And it is not a nature-made problem. It's not a law of physics. It is a man-made problem, and a man-made problem has a man-made solution. And Donald Trump can set the tone, but those regulations, most of them, are actually at the state level. Same thing with respect to education. Determining whether or not that poor young kid in the inner city, Black, Hispanic, or white, can go to an actual good school isn't determined by the federal government. It's determined by actually those state laws. Same thing with respect to food restrictions, the constraints on nuclear energy production. A lot of those are at the state level. And so I'm actually excited about making sure that we're not just looking at this as a one-size-fits-all solution. I supported Donald Trump pretty heavily. I dedicated a significant part of my last year to getting him elected because I thought he would restore that sense of spine, that sense of greatness to America. But it's never a one-man show. It's never one man coming down from the White House to save us. It's never been that way. In fact, our founders envisioned this system of federalism to be led by the states bottom up as well. And so I'm excited for both of those to work in the next couple of years.
Do you think you were pushed out of those because Trump rolled back the DEI initiatives?
No, to the contrary. And, I would say, just to be super clear about it, I have no problem with, framing or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was really just an actual mutual decision where you look at, here was one vision on approach. Here's a different vision on an approach. That's great. There's no right or wrong answer. With a technology-driven approach and a technology-first approach, there's no better person than Elon to run with that. With a constitutional law focus, with a legislation focus, some of the areas I was focused on, probably the right place to do it is elected office. And so we all agreed on that. And I think that that's actually a good thing where we're actually able to collaborate, divide, and conquer.
I hear you, Vivek. I don't believe you.
Oh, that's fair
but
enough.
I think you either got pushed out or you know that it's going to implode. I think that Elon is going to crash and burn it, and you're a smart guy, and you said, you know what? Let me get out of Dodge and go do my Governor Ohio thing.
So look, I knew that the right step for me in the long run is elected office and to pursue the vision that we're talking about here, to actually translate that to action in my own terms. That's what I've been called to do. It was clear that I could not do that and serve on Doge at the same time. Even for logistical reasons, it came to be in the government rather than an outside body. I was proud to be able to spend the first couple of months offering my contributions and setting it in the right direction. With its focus now, with its digital technology focus, no better person to do that than Elon in the way that he's going to lead it. And I am hopeful that there's going to be a lot of streamlining of government bureaucracy that comes out of that, and I'm pursuing my next steps at the state level.
Are they going to endorse you? Is Elon going to endorse you? Is Trump going to endorse you?
We're all on very good terms, and so I wouldn't want to speak for anybody else, but I will say that they're very supportive of the decision that I made to pursue as my next step.
Got you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys.
I always enjoy talking to you.
I'm glad you hit me up over the weekend. Man.
Listen,
It was
I cannot wait until you unhitch your horse from this MAGA wagon.
And you can really talk.
I'm telling you, I don't believe nothing
I got my horse hitched to one wagon, and I'm not being corny about it. I really mean it. It is the America wagon. I love this country, and I will, you know what? I would rather fight to this country for the principles I believe in and stand for and lose than to win by checking some box along the way. And this next step for me, I think is going to be really good.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Good luck in Ohio, and how are you going to take care of our Haitian family over there that, Trump said we
I visited a number of them in Springfield, and I think that I spent a lot of time in Springfield growing up, actually.
Did you have dinner with any of them?
Shut
we
up,
didn't.
man.
Oh yeah, no, we did not. We hung out. We hung out. It was the daytime where we hung out. But I would say that it's understandable where you have a tiny community that is really small population in Springfield that has had its population dramatically transformed. I don't blame anybody. That's what I said when I went and visited Springfield. I don't blame anybody in that community. I don't blame the people who live in Springfield for being upset. I don't blame Haitians who made decisions for their own family to end up in Springfield the way they are. I do blame a lot of failed government policies. And at the end of the day, you could sit back and blame the government all you want. And at a certain point in time, I said, okay, I'm sitting here offering commentary from an armchair. I'm done with that. I want to go in and actually through action, make a difference that you want to see. And so I think that running to be the chief executive of a state, a governor, short of being a president, is the single greatest way to have unshackled impact on your country. And I'll look forward to making a big announcement about that in a few weeks.
All right. It's Vivek Ramaswamy. We appreciate you for joining us.
Good seeing you, man.
That's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. All right. Well, let's get right to Jess with the Mess.
News is real. Whether it's Jess Hilarious, Jessica Robin Moore, Jess don't do no lies.
She don't spare nobody.
Worldwide Jess, worldwide Mack.
On the Breakfast Club.
She's a culture shift.
She was able to get y'all to see something and understand something that nobody could get you to see.
It's time to set it off.
All right, real quick before we get into this next story, I did want to say that ID doc, there's a lot of other parts coming out. I know I mentioned that. We didn't even get to everything that we were going to get to because what I realized in talking to y'all is like people don't really care no more about these documentaries. We just need to go to court at this point.
There's so many of
them.
them.
23 of them.
Yeah, it was like nothing new I learned.
It's
it was
overload at this
really
point.
nothing new I learned. Outside of me, my first time hearing the story about Diddy and Heavy D having a party and the people being trampled and all that stuff, that was probably like one of the only stories that I hadn't heard.
Heavy D trampled somebody?
What?
No.
Excuse me?
No.
Where was this?
They let too many people in the party. People got trampled. People passed away. It was
It was
like
a party
whole thing.
at Howard.
Yeah.
I think it was at Howard.
Yeah, it was on his Howard days.
Howard Homecoming.
Oh, that wasn't the celebrity basketball game? That was something else?
That was
No.
a celebrity basketball game. I thought it was at Howard. That was
It
it.
was-
I thought that
it
was
was-
in New York.
Or maybe that was in New York.
It was during
wasn't-
his Howard time though, because
No, it was in New York.
It was after Howard when he was still known as like the
No,
party
no.
guy.
That
and
basketball
then
game was in New York. Yeah, it was.
No,
You're
I
right.
don't know if it was in DC or New York. What I'm saying is
No, it
that
was New
he
York.
But
he
Heavy
was
D
still
was there for sure.
Heavy D was
and
there
they
for
were
sure. He was.
trampling
This
over
was
people.
early
at
Uptown
City
Music
College.
days.
Yeah, City
Uptown
College, that's
Music
what it
days,
was, yeah.
and that whole thing happened. But
It was
How
the
many
City
people
College
did he
in New
step
York.
on?
yes, but the girl who he didn't. Jess.
Shut up. What's wrong with y'all?
No,
We moving on.
Heavy
We
D
moving
is-
on.
As an artist, that they did it together. He didn't.
Oh, so he wasn't
had
in
just-
the stampede.
Yeah.
No.
Running over people.
Puffy was the party
Okay.
guy. Heavy D was Heavy D.
Ooh,
Puffy was
okay.
coming into the music
I was
thing.
gonna
He was
say,
up here.
damn.
They had a party.
But that was a
We moving
celebrity
on.
basketball game. It was at
Yes.
City
You
You
College
said
in
you
the
watched
city.
the doc. It don't sound like it.
I did. No, because the woman that they have talking about it is a woman who knew him from Howard and the parties there, which made them go to the party up here.
Okay, yeah, that was
Yes.
it was a celebrity basketball game, like
Yeah.
Charlamagne said, at City College in the city.
Okay, well, we
All
moving
right.
on.
Yes,
all right.
please.
I'm glad we learned something.
Girl, because I was going to say, who?
Selena Gomez, right? So yesterday, Selena Gomez posted and then deleted a video of herself reacting to the immigration enforcement sweeps that have been happening all over. Let's take a listen.
Just want to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children. I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
Oh, because she's Mexican too, right?
She's Mexican American.
And so she's scared because she's going to be sent back? Like, what is...
No,
I know that she's crying because of other people.
She was born here in Texas.
Yeah. Oh, so she was born here.
She's born in Texas, yes.
Yeah, no, she's just crying because, I mean, it's in real time, we're seeing people on...
It's sad.
No, she
on
don't feel
social
like she can
media.
do anything.
And so she doesn't feel like she can do anything. But
affects everybody.
when I tell y'all, the people dragged sis. I mean, bad. She deleted the video. That's how bad the dragging was. People, it was a whole thing of like, y'all voted for this, so now we gonna sit it out. I know there's like a conversation right now, especially amongst like
who said Selena voted for him?
I'm not saying her in particular, but people were using her as the example of, well, y'all asked for this at the polls and now y'all getting it. So
the American people voted for this, and this is what's happening. Yeah, I get it.
A lot of people. Okay. They also were like on the, you know how they act with people who are rich. Like, you so rich, you got so much money, send people lawyers, get people housing that are going to stay here.
Not going to do anything if you here illegally. Like, a lawyer for what?
I don't know, but I'm telling y'all, when I say the dragon was bad, I felt bad for her. I'm like, dang, she should have just like took this up with her group chat. Like,
I did see U.S. Senate candidate Sam Parker. He did, to Jess's point, say Selena should be deported.
What?
Oh, really?
My God.
Yeah, U.S. Senate candidate Sam Parker said that.
And that's probably why she was crying.
But she's legal.
That sounded like that type of
Yeah,
crime.
she was born
what
here.
he said.
That's
oh
crazy.
my God. Well, I know Tom Homan. Is that how you say his name? Tom Homan. He also responded as well too. We have the audio.
I don't think we arrested any families. We've arrested public safety threats and national security threats, bottom line. And look, President Trump won the election on this one issue, securing our border and saving lives.
Very true.
What happened on our southern border last 4 years is the biggest national security threat this country's seen, at least in my lifetime, because we got over 2 million known gotaways. We got a 600% increase in sex trafficking. We got a record number of terrorists crossing the border on the terrorist watch list. We have 250,000 Americans dying from fentanyl coming across the open border. We're going to do this job, and we're going to enforce the laws of this country. If they don't like it, then go to Congress and change the law. We're going to do this operational apology. We're going to make our community safer. We're going to save. Once we lock that border on continuous operation, you're going to see fentanyl deaths decrease, illegal alien crime decrease, sex trafficking decrease. It's just all for the good of this nation, and we're going to keep going. No apologies. We're moving forward.
Man, that white man sound like a cop, don't he? He used to be.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, he technically is. Just remember, everything Trump is doing, America gave him the power to do.
But that's what people was trying to tell Selena. Girl.
He was voted in as president.
But he said he was going to do it.
Control the government. He
This
said
ain't
he
a
was gonna do it.
surprise.
It's not a surprise.
Yeah, Tom Homan.
It was a surprise when ICE pop up. That's about it. Surprise.
No.
Yeah.
Y'all, the real surprise, y'all been seeing the videos of Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil was outside with ICE.
Doing what?
Oh my God.
Getting the people,
Ride
rounding them
along.
up.
No way.
No, listen to this. Listen to this.
You doing a ride along?
Yes, listen.
No.
Where you from?
Thailand.
You been deported before from the United States?
No.
Never been deported.
I've been in the system before.
What have you been charged with?
I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna talk to my lawyer.
Are you a citizen?
My mom's a citizen.
Your mother's a citizen?
Yes.
But you're not?
Nope.
But you've never been deported before?
You Dr. Phil. You look like Dr. Phil.
Yeah? How do you know me?
No, I seen Dr. Phil, on TV.
Well, this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? We got an illegal alien convicted of sex crimes involving children, and he's walking the streets of Chicago. Again, the problem with the sanctuary city, that people like us walking the street rather than local law enforcement working with federal agents, this is what we're dealing with. You've been charged with sex crimes with children?
Not really.
Not really?
Not really.
And never been deported?
You gotta
go.
Excuse me?
Not Dr. Phil said, how you know me? What you mean?
What do you say? I saw you on the damn movie.
If somebody says to you, have you been charged with sex crimes with children, and your answer is not really,
Not
you gotta
really.
go.
Yeah, you have
got to go.
You have to go.
But is he really doing a ride along with
No,
ICE?
Dr. Phil's outside, and he
That's
tweeted.
wild.
He's been tweeting the videos too. And one of the videos he tweeted to basically make the point that ICE is not just doing these random sweeps and sending home families and breaking up homes the way that people are making it seem. They're only grabbing people who are here illegally that are potential harms and just didn't follow the law to be here. Or
And
they're
that's
breaking
what you
laws
were
out of
saying, Charlamagne. You wanted to know what people did and who.
Case by
what,
case basis.
Period. And he not really did something. So
Not really, you gotta go. That's like when Tori asked R. Kelly how old is the little girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you mean? Not really. Did you commit sex crimes against children? Not really. What is that? No.
But now,
Did you not understand the question,
a
sir?
little bit. That mean the same thing.
But
That's not really.
Dr. Phil's like the boogeyman now. If you see Dr. Phil, you know what it is.
Yo, he been there since he stood up at that Trump rally and said DEI is what it is. Like I don't know what happened.
I got him coming up here this week to scare
I'm running. I see Dr. Phil, I'm out. I don't care what block I'm on.
Do
I'm
we still
out.
got his show?
I don't even know.
Not on TV.
I haven't seen any news.
My grandma still finds a way to watch it though.
Jesus. Well,
them old people locked in with Dr. Phil. You welcome, girl.
All right. Well, that was Jess with the Mess. Now, Charlamagne, who you giving your donkey to?
Man, 4 after the hour, since we're on the topic, let's talk about these insurrectionists and these Capitol rioters. Okay? Talking about case-by-case basis. Let's discuss some.
All right. All right. We'll get into that next. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake up. Wake up. You're locked into The Breakfast Club.
This is a miracle.
There is no question that there are problems in this country between police and community.
Yes, you are a donkey.
The latest on that police killing of a black man.
Now to new developments in the deadly spa shooting rampage.
And yesterday was a really bad day for him, and this is what he did.
And so we are in a state of emergency.
Okay, white supremacist violence is and always has been the number one threat to our society.
But I'm also very proud that my wife is white.
The Breakfast Club, bitches.
All right, Charlamagne, please tell me, why was I your donkey of the day?
Well, donkey today for Tuesday, January 28th goes to a few individuals. I'm going to throw some names out there. Matthew Huddle, he's 42 years old. He's from Hobart, Indiana. Daniel Charles Ball, he's from Florida. Andrew Tate, he's 36 from Houston, Texas. What do all these people have in common? They were all part of the militia known as Vanilla ISIS. Yes, they are all insurrectionists who stormed the Capitol on January 6th, and they were all pardoned last week by President Trump. Why am I bringing this up today? Because we just had Vivek Ramaswamy on Breakfast Club last hour. He just recently left the Trump administration or got pushed out, depending on who you ask. And we were discussing these insurrectionists. All right, full disclosure, we had pre-tape interviews. So the day before is when we talked to Vivek. So a couple of these stories actually came out yesterday afternoon. In the case of Daniel Charles Ball, that was the one I referenced during the Vivek interview, but I brought it up because there was no reason to do a blanket pardon of everyone on January 6th. No reason for President Trump to do that because some of these people were criminals before January 6th. Okay, Daniel Charles Ball was arrested for his role in January 6th. He entered the Capitol and broke a window shutter through a device at law enforcement officers that exploded. But he also has an outstanding warrant in Florida and was rearrested last week for a federal gun charge. Okay, Andrew Tate attacked police with bear spray and a metal whip. He has an unresolved charge of soliciting a minor. And Matthew Huddle, well, Matthew is dead, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, deceased.
Jesus.
Yeah, he has vacated his earthly meat prison. I know you're sitting around like, Uncle Charlotte, why would you ever give a dead man donkey of the day? Well, it is possible to die dumb. And I want to reiterate that Matthew was one of the insurrectionists who was pardoned by President Trump. The FBI said he was at the Capitol for several hours during the riots and entered the building for approximately 10 minutes. He was sentenced to 6 months in federal prison and 12 months on supervised release. But according to the Indiana State Police Criminal Investigations Division, he was pulled over by the Jasper County Sheriff's Department for a traffic stop, and he was allegedly resisting arrest. You don't say. A Capitol riot rioter had zero respect for law enforcement and resisted arrest? No. Let's go to NBC News for the report, please.
Hobart man recently pardoned by President Trump for storming the Capitol on January 6th was shot and killed by an Indiana sheriff's deputy yesterday afternoon. This happened during a traffic stop. The police account of what happened is that the deputy pulled over 42-year-old Matthew Huddle on State Road 14 near the Jasper County line around 4:15 in the afternoon. When the deputy tried to arrest Huddle, they say he resisted. There was an altercation that led to the deputy firing his gun, killing Huddle. Police go on to say that Huddle had a gun, but it's unclear what led up to that shooting. Now, Huddle was just pardoned days ago for a misdemeanor related to the 2021 Capitol riot. He was originally sentenced to 6 months in federal prison.
Once again, a Capitol rioter had zero respect for law enforcement and resisted arrest. Listen, I'm just here to give people the credit they deserve for being stupid, and I'm here to inform y'all, you're making your president look bad. Now, I know folks don't listen to vice presidents. We learned that very well during the last administration, but J.D. Vance said something that made a lot of sense in regards to the January 6th pardons. It was very logical. Listen.
I think it's very simple. Look, if you protested peacefully on January the 6th and you've had Merrick Garland's Department of Justice treat you like a gang member, you should be pardoned. If you committed violence on that day, obviously you shouldn't be pardoned. And there's a little bit of a gray area there, but we're very much committed to seeing the equal administration of law. And there are a lot of people, we think, in the wake of January the 6th who were prosecuted unfairly. We need to rectify that.
Well, I wanted the part where he said pardon should be done on a case-by-case basis, but, I never get what I want around here. But, yes, pardon should be done on a case-by-case basis, and these 3 cases I just named are some of those, cases, all right? Number 1, Daniel and Andrew were both violent towards police. That should disqualify them for a pardon, according to J.D. Vance. I agree. Okay, second, Andrew was out here allegedly soliciting minors online, and Daniel had a federal gun charge and got rearrested soon as he was released. Okay, if Trump would have done these pardons on a case-by-case basis, like his vice president said, he would have seen that and made the right decision. Okay, Matthew Huddle, I hate that you lost your life to law enforcement. They said allegedly you was resisting arrest, you had a gun. It's hard to give you the benefit of the doubt because we saw how these domestic terrorists known as Vanilla ISIS treated law enforcement on January 6th. I'm honestly shocked y'all didn't get shot and killed then. No, I'm not. Of course, you had the complexion for the protection. All right. The things more often than not tend to work out, but clearly they didn't work out this time for you because you're dead. Look, all the insurrectionists, Capitol rioters, please understand that double jeopardy in your case isn't the second round. Okay, on the game show. All right. Nor does it give you a second chance to break the law. I just want to make people aware of who these people are, who got these pardons. Let's go back to NBC News for that report, please.
This is probably the trickle of stories we're going to get on January 6th going forward. It'll be about people who committed other crimes outside of this. Because remember, while there were certainly a lot of people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th and didn't have a long criminal record and might even have no criminal record at all, and were upstanding citizens otherwise, according to their neighbors, there was this whole contingent of these January 6th rioters who had some really awful criminal histories behind them. Domestic abuse, really ugly assaults on their partners and wives, child molestation cases, these DUI cases. There's a lot of drug problems, a lot of alcohol problems, and now I think some of these January 6th prosecutors are wondering, what's going to be the next story to drop.
Yeah, they dropping. Just remember, everything Trump is doing, America gave him the power to do. Okay, he was voted in as president and he has full control of government, all 3 branches of government. So everything he's doing, he has the constitutional right to do. Doesn't mean it's right, but sadly, it's the American way. Please give Matthew Huddle, Daniel Charles Ball, and Andrew Tate the biggest hee-haw. Matter of fact, let Kathy Griffin give him the biggest hee-haw.
Please give this giant jar of mayo the biggest hee-haw.
Yeah, the mayonnaise was heavy on those stories. Mm-hmm. Yes.
That is crazy. Mm-hmm. I wonder if Trump would pay for his funeral.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you for that donkey today.
Yes, indeed.
Now, when we come back, we have Derek Lewis joining us. Now, Derek is an ex-executive from Pepsi. He recently retired. He actually graduated from Hampton University. Good brother. He brings a lot to the table when it comes to bringing us to places where we usually are not. All right. And we're going to talk to Derek Lewis when we come back. He has a new book called Survive in Advance: Lessons on Living a Life Without Compromise. So we're going to talk to Derek Lewis when we come back.
And he bought me a hoodie and Lauren stole it.
Damn. Y'all go together. Y'all stealing hoodies from each other? What? Y'all definitely go together. That's stud love if I never heard stud love.
Lauren could not handle me. She couldn't deal with me.
Oh, she got the vibrator with six settings. That's what that means. Okay, Jess.
She need to give me my hoodie though, for real.
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Along the Rosa filling in, and we got a special guest in the building. We got the good brother, Derek Lewis. Welcome, brother.
Good morning, my brothers. How y'all doing,
feeling?
man? How you doing now? Good, I'm doing great. Excellent, man.
Now, for people that don't know who Derek Lewis is, besides going to the greatest university and college in the world.
Oh, which one is that? Del State?
Definitely not Delaware State.
Oh, okay.
Hampton University.
Real HU.
We
That's
apologize.
right. Break down who Derek Lewis is.
Derek Lewis is an inspirational leader. Grew up in Chocolate City back in the 60s and 70s. Single-parent familyhood, lifestyle. Decided I wanted to be something different. I wanted to dream big for myself despite the circumstances I was under in the Chocolate City back at that time. And was inspired by getting a great education, inspired by joining a big company, inspired by putting that work in to become who I wanted to be, my best version of myself, to lead others, be not only a go-getter but also a go-giver, and strive for excellence. And I was able to do that over a 35-year career at Pepsi. Since then, I've retired now, and I keep doing my work. I'm obviously releasing a book. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about that today. And also, I'm launching cheesesteak restaurants in Orlando. Big Dave's Cheesesteak, so you know Brother Derek Hayes.
I love him.
Who owns those? Yeah, I love him too. So I'm his first franchisee. I'm bringing 10 units to Central Florida. I've already opened up 4 locations 2 in the Kia Center, and 2 in Campbell World Stadium. We're off and running. I got 2 brick and mortars that open up at end of March, beginning of April, and the sky's the limit. I'm also obviously serving on boards. I'm back at my alma mater, serving as a trustee and putting in the work there, more nonprofit boards. Doing the family thing. So life has been great, but I'm also able to still contribute in the ways that satisfy me and my family.
What was your title at Pepsi right before you
The
left?
last title? I was president of PepsiCo Multicultural North America, so for the entire corporation.
Now I wanted
So
to ask.
basically DEI before DEI.
It wasn't DEI, so I want to clarify the DEI thing. It was DEI had its own department. I was all about focusing on consumer, culture, and community. And so I was primarily throughout my career, I was an operating executive. So I ran the P&L. I had billions of dollars of responsibility. At one point, I was running North America, and then we did a restructure. And I assumed the South responsibility as president. And then at the tail end of that run, which was about 3 years, we delivered fantastic results. And we developed such a good playbook at the time because COVID was involved and the George Floyd situation was involved. And we had developed such a good model on culture, community, and company that the company asked me to step in and create this big role for the entire corporation using the best practices that we developed in sort of the Southern United States and be able to start to implement that. So that was the last role that I had in company. Primarily throughout my career, I was all putting sales and driving profit, driving market share. It was getting after it in the trenches each and every single day.
You were one of the first people, corporate-wise, right? I graduated from Hampton a long time ago, so I would go to all these different homecomings. But you were probably one of the first to bring huge corporations to all the HBCUs, right? Not just the big ones, because, it's easy to just to go to the big ones where North Carolina A&T, which is the biggest university as far as students are concerned, or FAMU, which is a big university. Why was it so important to you to do that HBCU run and to show up at those HBCU schools when other corporations weren't? But they started following after you did.
Absolutely. It's all about legacy, right? And so my HBCU experience at Hampton was absolutely fascinating, incredible. And so to be able to take that experience, build that, sort of legacy, not only through the corporate side, investing not only just events, activation on campus, but also recruitment. I recruited heavily on HBCU campuses. I pushed hard to have recruitment centers go down to these schools, not just in, call it Mid-Atlantic area, but also down throughout the Southwest. I was responsible for setting up the SWAC partnership that we still enjoy today. That has been now a long-term partnership and agreement based on the schools that are in the SWAC. Great schools, great campuses. Certainly the activation mainly revolves around sports, but I took that and extended that to recruitment and also community effort, right? And so me, it's a whole sort of end-to-end proposition, not just about the parties and the social side. It's also about jobs. It's also about what we're doing in the community. It's also about setting up legacy for the future.
When you, in the opening of your book, you talk about going through like all of the pandemic and the riots that happened after George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, and you realizing like, I'm not an activist, but I do want to do something because I know what it's like to not know what's going to happen tomorrow. When did you get to a point in your career where you felt empowered to be like, my activism is in the boardroom and this is what I'm going to do? Because being like a only or like one of few in a big corporation like a Pepsi, it's not easy to be like, you know what? Y'all listen to me, this is what we need to do, this is how we should get back, this is how we should help.
That's a great question. I think mid-career, I felt that responsibility now because I was starting to really move up in the organization and there weren't many people at the top. And so a lot of the younger associates looked for me for guidance, direction. And so I just started creating networks across. I moved around a lot. So, when I ended up in the West Coast, we would be at a national meeting and it would not be uncommon for me to call all of the Black associates to a hospitality event at the end of the night, and we would have like 100 people in a suite. I just go rent a suite, go and get everybody together, and just talk to them about their journey, what's going on, how I see the future of the company. I'm a historian of the culture at Pepsi, right? And that takes a hell of a lot of courage because at the own time I'm worried. I have my own concerns in my own life about what's happening. But the time when leadership is needed, it was time for me to step in and step up, and I did that. I did it honorably and gracefully, humbly, and I was excited to do that. I was excited the company gave me the platform to do that, and I think it turned out very, very well for everybody.
With companies taking DEI off the table, how will that affect a company like Pepsi? How will that affect those big companies? Since you've been there and you've seen whether they hired African Americans or minorities, how does that affect that? And do you think it's a good idea?
I think they'll be fine because, again, going back to the history is so strong, and the torch passing from CEO to CEO has been really strong and solid. So it's like running this relay race that never stops, right? So I feel like they'll be in good shape. I think for what I'm seeing now, it's not obviously, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, as I talk about in my book a lot, it's an opportunity, right? So while there, looks appear to be a setback, there's times for now leaders, companies, cultures to step up to the plate. It's about people. And so even in this case where you're telling a cohort that we're de-emphasizing something, deprioritizing, you haven't necessarily come back with something that you're doing to offset that. Something, again, that revolves greater good, more collaboration, sort of more sensitivity around things that are going on. That's how you treat people. And right, so that lack of sort of compassion that is being shown we're cutting it, and we're not talking about really anything else, I think is just not good. So I think this is a time for leadership to step up to the plate. It's not hard to write this new playbook, by the way. It should have been written a long time ago. Mm-hmm. At least like myself could have done it. I could almost feel in 2020 what was happening. It was a more of an in-your-face moment. Everybody was going to get on board because no one wanted to be left behind or deal with the rash of being sort of on the outside looking in. And then obviously what happens is time moves on, things move on. There really weren't any, call it scorecard metrics or calibration against what you said and what you were going to go do to now. Can anybody go back and even remember what people said back in 2020, right? So there was always a question around sustainability of that effort.
I can remember them pledging all that money to them corporations and not delivering.
Right. Yeah, right. There was a lot of money, a lot of checks written. Yeah. Ton of checks written, but where are we today?
A lot of pledges, but no checks were written.
Exactly. You had that happen too, right? And so you had people, in a quiet way resisting or just reacting instead of really reimagining what the new playbook be. So if we actually took the time to reimagine the old DE&I into something more modern that focused again on being more comprehensive, certainly being more collaborative and being more compassionate, we can get there. That's not hard to do, by the way.
I like that.
It's not hard also to execute that plan. What's hard is getting everybody on board.
All right, we got more with Derek Lewis when we come back. He has a new book out, Lessons on Living a Life Without Compromise. Survive in advance. Keep it locked. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. Lauren is here with us as well. We're still kicking it with Derek Lewis, former executive from Pepsi, also graduated from Hampton University. He has a new book, Survive in Advance, Lessons on Living a Life Without Compromise. Charlamagne?
I always said that the problem I had with corporate DEI, it didn't feel for us, by us. Like it should have been more. It should have been black people,
right,
telling these corporations what is needed,
right.
Not these corporations saying, "Okay, here, this is what we're going to do."
Well, that's the difference with a Pepsi is that we were always at the table. Mm-hmm. Throughout the history of time, whether it was a black sales force back in the 40s or up until modern era, I was at the table when these programs were being developed and had a point of view and had perspective. And I give all the credit to all the CEOs who listened, who adapted, who empowered the executives to take charge. And I would do the same thing. I would ask the employees, instead of putting your head down with all this, now you're empowered to do something about it. I believe in the structure of ERGs, employee resource groups, and I believe you have to have places to be safe where if you feel isolated in the company, no matter where you come from, you have to have a place to go and should go. And so those things should structurally stay in place. But it's also incumbent upon those groups to lead a new agenda for the future, not keep looking up going, where are we going? Guess what? You're looking up. There's nobody looks like you up at the top.
Right.
Okay? Think about it. CEOs right now, Fortune 500, less than 2%. So how much progress is that really from the 1960s? And now we have 2%, less than 2% of people running the top 500 companies in the world. There are qualified people out there. There's no doubt about it. I'm one of those qualified people that can run a Fortune 500 company. So I'm not trying to do that now, but I'm out here and there's hundreds, if not thousands of people like me that are qualified, but they're not getting the opportunities. So in some regard, you can look at, did the DEI structure actually hurt progress from people elevating because of this perceived, you're getting an express card, check the box, fast mover, without sort of having the merit and having the credentials to do that. I think there were a lot of concerns, and it actually held a lot of people back. Mm-hmm. So let's reimagine this. Let's rebuild it. Let's not, while we respect the grounded nature of how it was built, let's evolve it to a way that is more comprehensive, more collaborative, and more compassionate. And we get there, everybody wins. You can't have winners and losers in this space. You can't have mandates in the space. I was there.
I want to ask you this, right? Because I love the title of the book, Survive in Advance, Lessons on Living a Life Without Compromise. And it's rooted in the DEI thing. Right now, you have a lot of people saying they want to boycott Target because they rolled back their DEI initiatives, which I don't get it. It's a lot of different companies that roll back DEI initiatives, so why just Target? Right. But what they're saying is they want to make an example out of this one company, but then now people are saying, hey, let's do a compromise. Let's support the black brands in Target, but boycott everything else. What do you think the best course of action is?
I think the best course of action again is I think leaders around the space, people who have experience, people who have dealt with struggle in their life, like I have, who've been through a journey. I've been through HBCUs. Need to lead a new agenda. Need to lead a more modern agenda. That again, I go back to these same 3 C's, right? That is absolutely more comprehensive. Going this boycott angle and only supporting this or supporting that, that's not the answer either. That's not the answer. It's very short term. It drives a lot of engagement, but it's not the right answer. You're going to increase polarization to even a greater extent when you do that. Our time is now to look at this as a positive in terms of change and creating new change for the culture and do it in the right way that's going to create sustainment. Doing these sort of side hustles and taking these tactics that are abrupt, abrasive, temporary, don't solve the long-term problems. I'm into solving the long-term problem. Let's solve the long-term problem. Let's get leaders together with the corporation and say, hey, we want to take a different cut at this. That takes real strategic leadership. That takes real sort of collaboration and maturity to pull this off and not look at it with your head down, but look at it with your head up on what's the future look like in the space. And having people at the table to do that will get us to the right space.
I want to talk about your come up with your wife as well.
Yeah, okay. That's big.
How long you been married?
We've been married 32 years.
Now, explain how that is having the right partner by your side.
It's meant everything.
Me and Charlamagne talk about it all the time. With the right partner, it keeps you out of trouble, keeps you from doing foolish, and sometimes you got to smack in the back of your head. So talk about that journey, about having that right partner on your side to make sure that you stay focused.
It really has been the key to the success I've had. And I talk about this a lot, especially recently. We've been talking about this a lot, is our aligned shared vision on how we want to live our lives. Now, the story at Hampton, was volatile. I was a senior. She was a freshman. Things didn't work out. They worked out great at the beginning, but as you know, those things are temporary down there. Didn't work out. I moved on. I wanted to be this, go get my job, go establish some income, go buy my first house before I started taking relationships seriously. It was a big mistake that I'm glad didn't cost me, because I wouldn't be here now if she wasn't part of my life. But we reunited. Time heals. I matured. I came back. I saw the true value she brought to the table. And I knew all along that our vision on family, our vision on career, our vision on community, our vision on faith were so aligned that it was obvious for me to say, hey, I need to lock this down, right? Because I knew that the place I wanted to go, I absolutely had to have a partner that was willing to go along with that ride. And that ride wasn't going to have lumps to it. So a lot of sacrifice that we had, but we've built the family we wanted to build. We call ourselves Team Lewis. She's the co-captain, or she's actually the chief household officer, I would say to her, and been an integral part of all that. But shared vision has been the absolute focal point of our success. Leaning on each other, trusting each other, grinding each other. She's made me better. I would like to say I've made her better, but she certainly has made me better in this whole journey.
There's a point in the book, not the statistic. In this point in the book, just talking about your wife and leaning on her, you talk about like your journey with like finding out that you had a cancerous mass. And just things you overlooked because you were working, and just just in day to day. And the title of the book, Survive in Advance, you talked about feeling like you survived and you got away from a lot of things. You didn't have to worry about what was going to happen next in your life. And then you're super successful, and then cancer comes. And your wife is there and your family's there. Like, can you talk to me about like what that journey was like for you?
Yeah.
In the face of it, you're still. I see you kind of get emotional right now.
Yeah, no, it was a tough time, right? I mean, I'm retired now. I'm playing a lot of golf, and I'm having the time of my life. And then I started seeing blood in my stool, and again, sloppy for me, undisciplined for me. I never had a colonoscopy, and so here I am, 56, and every year I go get my executive physical, check in the box, and doctor's like, hey, Derek, you're over 50 now, it's time to get your colonoscopy. I'm like, I got you, but I'm going back to the grind. I'm focusing on people. I'm focusing on my job.
Were you scared to go? Or?
I wasn't scared. I just ignored it. I deprioritized it. I made it feel like my executive physical was good. I'm feeling good. The boxes were checked.
You said you had all the best doctors.
Yeah, your cognitive skills were good. Your motor skills are the highest they've ever been. Your blood comes back fine. You're good. So I'm like, I'm good, man. I got to get back to the grind, and I ignored it. It was a terrible decision. I don't want anybody out there that is 50 or over and has not had a colonoscopy. Now, matter of fact, you start getting younger now, starting to get a lot younger.
Yeah, I think it went down to 45. I believe.
Depending on your family history, a lot of it has to do with your family history, but the earlier the better. So there's no such thing as an early start with checking out yourself in that regard. And so it was a terrible decision. It would have cost me my life. Damn. But my wife was fully behind me. She took it actually harder than I did, but she was the rock in this whole thing, and wouldn't have got through it at that level if it wasn't for her and her support. She came through big time, and my network came through big time, and it was one of the most incredible experiences. I say in the same breath, it was the hardest lesson I learned. It's also the greatest lesson I learned at the same time, because I got a lot of runway left, and that you just motivated me now for the next 30 some odd years of my life to go after in ways that I haven't gone before. It refueled me, it re-energized me, it put me in a different space. And again, this whole notion of being a go-giver, man, I'm in that space, and I see the vision of what the future holds for that.
That's right.
All right. Well, pick up the book, his memoir, Survive and Advance, Lessons on Living a Life Without Compromise. It's out right now.
Derek Lewis,
we appreciate you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for what y'all do, man.
It's the Breakfast Club.
God bless.
Good morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get to Jess with the Mess.
The news is real, whether it's Jess Hilarious, Jessica Robin Moore, just don't do no lies,
She don't spare nobody.
Worldwide Jess, worldwide Mack.
On the Breakfast Club.
She's a culture shift.
She was able to get y'all to see something and understand something that nobody could get you to see.
It's time to set it off.
All right, y'all.
No, hold up.
I'm excited.
I know you're excited.
This is my show.
Look, I know. Now, I'm only on episode 2. The new Netflix series, Wags.
I'm not far from
Wags
you.
the Riches.
Yeah.
What's the update? Because I'm only on 2, but it's like I don't want you to like.
I'm not gonna give it away.
You to spoil it. But what's the latest
I
drama?
might
What's
spoil
been
a little
going on?
bit.
All right, forget it.
Okay, so all right. So over the weekend, I don't even know if this is on the show or not yet. I'm only on episode 4.
What show?
Wags. She said it.
Wags to Riches.
Wags to Riches. It's on Netflix.
You running to hit
It
some
is.
like.
Listen.
I hear her saying about no wags.
Yeah.
Wags to Riches.
She said, okay.
She said Wags to Riches.
Thank you, because we locked in over here. Come on over, Bill Maher.
We're just ready to jump.
Come on, y'all. I really love this show.
No, Charlamagne, go. Wags to Riches.
So Wags to Riches on Netflix. Over the weekend, MJ, on the show, you guys know MJ. She is the mother of one of Kodak Black's babies. Her name is Miranda Johnson. She got into it at her baby's birthday party. So they were there celebrating her 3-year-old daughter, her and his 3-year-old daughter. I don't know, nor do police know who she actually got into it with. But law enforcement sources were called. It was a big ruckus. They say police spoke to several people who told them that they were injured and wanted to press charges. But when push came to shove and cops started asking questions, names, and numbers, they was told that only one person was willing to cooperate. I don't know. Sounds like it. I don't. Yeah, MJ on the show. She's gotten into issues before, and normally before they were over Kodak. Like she's a little violent. On the show, she pulled up on one of the baby moms, the other baby moms or whatever.
She broke up Kodak's cars.
Yeah. Oh, she beat his cars to a pulp. Okay.
No.
Yes. Now, but I like her
why
though.
he get high, please.
No. I like MJ though because I feel like MJ, she's young and she's learning, and it's like she's doing it in front of the world. She's not making the best decisions all the time about this man, but she's learning. And the other girls on the show, to me, specifically, and I liked Sherelle before this, they're a little judgmental.
It's a mean girl show.
It is so mean. I feel like MJ's actually not a mean girl. She just get crazy when she needs to, and I'm not with somebody pulling up when they have to, right? But
now, I'm not talking to MJ, but that's a mean girl show. Like very
some
cliquish.
Of the things that they be saying.
And they too old to be doing that.
Yeah, very too old to be in cliques and to be judging people off.
Yeah. So on the show, you have you have Sherelle on the show, who is married to Ocho Cinco.
They're not married yet.
No. Oh well,
Fiance,
whatever
dating
they
or not
do.
dating, something.
Yeah,
I don't think they're married
Ocho
yet,
Cinco. You have Stoney on the show, who's the ex wife or ex girlfriend of Rick Ross. I don't know if they were married or not. Yes, Jules is on the show. There's a ton of ladies on the show.
Yes, Jules.
You do?
Yeah,
you the only one.
How you say it like that?
Because I mean, I'm indifferent, but you're the first person I ever heard say I love Yes, Jules. You know her in real life though. Okay, that's why.
A few times.
Yeah,
cool.
They was on her neck too.
Yes. So people have been coming out about the show really bad and talking about how they hate the way that the show portrays the women who are married to these athletes, because there's so much more to these women apparently, right? Like they're supposed to just be running businesses, managing mom life while traveling with the athlete husbands. But all you see on the show is like, I hate you, I'm judging you. Sherelle literally told Stoney, who is the ex of Rick Ross, I don't want to be your friend because I heard you used to be a prostitute. Let's take a listen to that.
I just told them I just don't with you. I don't see myself with you because of the reputation you have.
And what reputation is that?
The escort, the sex tape.
I'm not an escort, for one. So what is this? You guys patrolling my now?
I'm patrolling.
I mean, like, can I get along? We're grown. And I'm pretty sure you have pictures, videos of you bent over in Ocho's phone.
I sure do.
Okay, so you're telling me because somebody decided to act out of revenge to me that you not with me?
No, it's not just that. If you're going to have sex videos of yourself, advice, make sure it's your own personal device.
Oh Lord, a bunch of old ass clowns. I can already see what's really happening now.
Did you see that episode? Sorry to anybody who didn't see that episode, but you gotta watch it.
That was early on, though.
That was early on. They actually made up a bit since then, but I'm only like 4 episodes in, so I don't know if they fell up. You gotta watch it. It was so crazy too because your girl gets into it. Yes, Jewel gets into it too. Did you see that? And that caused a big fallout online. Let's take a listen to Yes Jules.
Now that's your girl.
That she was a racist. You said culture vulture. That's racist.
Let me ask you something. What do you do for your culture?
I'm a real estate agent. I get people in.
Oh wow! So you make money off people buying homes? Okay, that's cool. But you don't know me. You talking about me like I'm a culture vulture. So I'm just wondering if you're gonna talk about the culture. Let's talk about what you do. You saying facts? You don't
do a lot for my culture. You were the same that wanted to wear a shirt, right?
The shirt said "Ninjas lie a lot," just like.
Hold on, say it.
I'm not gonna say it because I don't
your
say
mind.
it.
You're around a bunch of black women. I'm a
yes,
black
I am,
woman.
and I
She's
love
a black
women.
She's a black woman.
And I love her.
And you're
I love
trying
her.
to get
Excuse me,
women.
lower your mother.
No, I'm not gonna lower.
You
I'm not going to lower.
Who the is that? My hair real.
When I tell you went down after that, so the shirt that it was a tweet. Yes, Jules had tweeted out a shirt
years
that said,
ago.
And yeah, N words lie a lie, and she was like, "So am I allowed to wear this shirt?" And people were, of course, upset about that because Yes Jules is white. And so the girl brought it back up on the show. They fought. So people were like, "Why is this cultural appropriator on the show?" It just it caused the whole drag.
How much is Zeus paying these women?
It's not Zeus. It's Netflix.
How much is VH1 paying these women then?
It's Netflix.
It's Netflix original.
It's Netflix.
That's on Netflix.
And let me tell you how the people are discussing this show. Okay, most people don't like it though. They're like, "This is too ratchet."
It's nasty.
But what are you watching
very,
reality
very
TV for? I like the show.
You can't be in my clip.
We gotta
do the lift one. You gotta do the lift one.
Okay, wait.
You got 60
so
seconds.
we gotta go real quick. There's a woman in Detroit that she filed a lawsuit. I just spoke with her attorney. Her name is Big Dang. She's a music artist because she was denied a lift. She filed a lawsuit for weight discrimination. A Lyft driver pulled up and would not let her get in a car. Let's take a listen.
What?
What you saying?
Yeah, I got more space. My car is small.
I can fit in this car.
But believe me, you can.
Yes, I can.
Believe me. So, I'm sorry.
What am I doing about my money?
I'm gonna cancel you. You're not gonna be charged.
So you telling me I can't get in the lift because I can't fit in your car?
Yeah, you need to order a bigger car.
What makes you think I can't fit in the car?
Because the car is small in the back.
My best friend has a Benz that's newer than this that I can fit in. That's the same time. So you really telling me I'm too big to get in your car, so I gotta order another lift?
And to be more specific with you, I got very tired tires.
I got very tired tires. He said,
yes, very tired tires.
How big is she?
So I don't know her actual weight, but she is a bigger girl.
Show Charlamagne a picture.
You know,
I do have a picture.
You know how one of them type, because there's different levels of big. You know, like it look like like you big in the front.
There's a photo of Big Dang. She's a music artist too, by the way.
God bless.
So she's
no, God bless her because she will cuss you out. She went off in the video.
Why you gonna say don't say God bless her?
Why you say God bless her like that though?
Well, God bless her.
I mean, she still,
she know
her size. She know our she ain't sad. She know our size. They the type of people you can't be sad for.
I did my homework.
You did your homework. What?
Yes.
What happened?
Yes.
What did you just say?
I just want to say I did.
Or just order XL. Why she didn't order XL?
That's what the driver said.
I did my homework.
What's your homework?
The Benz was a C class that he was picking her up in.
Oh no.
The small Benz.
Yeah.
And when I did my homework, it says the weight limit is 1,200, so she could have fit. And she's nowhere near 1,200.
1,200 on weight limit for people or for like luggage?
In the trunk already. Like what's already?
I ain't doing
in
that
the car.
research, but yeah, because it.
Because she's a person.
Why are you mad at the man for being honest?
Yeah, he ain't say.
Because according to her attorney, under the law, refusing someone a ride because of their weight is the same as refusing them a ride because of race or religion. According to her attorney. So she wants damages. She wants damages and she wants her attorney fees paid for. Now look, we denying him entry in here. We gotta let him in.
We gotta go. We gotta go.
Come on.
That was Jess with the mess.
Like, come on.
And that was Big Mack.
All right. That's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Let's get to the mix.
Like, come on.
Wake up. You're locked into the Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a salute to Vivek Ramaswamy for joining us this morning.
Yes, salute to Vivek Ramaswamy, man. You know, he's formerly of Doge. Doge was a agency created by the Trump administration. It was supposed to be Vivek and Elon Musk that was supposed to help with government efficiency. But Vivek walked away.
That's right.
Or he got pushed out.
That's right.
Or when Donald Trump rolled back his DEI initiatives all across the country, they kicked him out. I don't know which one it was. Okay, but something happened.
Oh, right.
But he's no longer with them anymore.
That's right. So if you want to see that full interview, just hit up the Breakfast Club page on YouTube. And also salute to Derek Lewis for joining us, ex-executive from Pepsi. He graduated from Hampton. He has a new book out. He talks about how he got his job and how he climbed so high to that corporate ladder. And you can see that interview on Breakfast Club YouTube page as well. All right. Now, when we come back, we got the positive notice to Breakfast Club. Good morning. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. It's time to get up out of here. Charlamagne, you got a positive note?
I do have a positive note, and it's simply this, man. To protect your energy, it's okay to cancel a commitment. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to want to be alone. It's okay to take a day off. It's okay to do nothing. It's okay to speak up, and it's okay to let go to protect your peace. Have a blessed day.
Breakfast Club, bitches! Y'all finished or y'all done?